couch tonight, so then it was a whole thing to.
Yeah, you are in. I mean, that looks like
No,
a
in front of my
familiar
bookshelf
spot.
for once. I know.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been sitting on the couch because I'm an old lady, but tonight I was like, no, I want to sit in front of my pretty shelves. So
Yeah. I mean, you got to be comfortable, you know.
I know. Well, don't say anyone yet, but we'll say hi for the playback crew. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rake Appreciation Society. Oh, there they are. Now the numbers popped up. Welcome to Rake Appreciation Society and to our autumnal session. Look at me there, finding a fancy word. And yeah, Crystal, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here to talk about historical romance. Very excited.
Yes, we are so excited. And of course, stay tuned to the end because we picked our choices for winter, and I'm very excited about them.
Yep.
I have them sitting right here. I have both of them, and I'm excited about it. But, oh, looky, everyone's popping in. There we go. Let me go over here. I was getting the banners ready to talk about everything. So, what? Well, hello, Francesca. Thank you for, I assume it's pretty early in the morning where you're at, I think, if I'm right about Australia. When I talk to my friend Mary over there, she's always just waking up at like this time. So,
yeah.
Hello,
Hi, Erin.
Hello. Hi, Linda. Oh, that's her again. Hello.
Hi, Amber.
Hey, Amber and Christine. Look at everybody here tonight.
Yeah, look at
Lunchtime tomorrow. Okay, wow. So you're further ahead than that. I love that. Oh, well. I was gonna say we talk about what we're reading first, but 20 people are here already, and
let's do it.
Let's get into it. If we have time at the end, we'll talk about what we're currently reading. So let me just pull up, and I'll just pick a random one from my list to see which one we're talking about first. I'll just do a randomized.
Sounds good.
Which one I pick? All right, this one popped up first. I literally closed my eyes and pointed. So let's start with the Tribune Temptation by Jenna Bigelow. I have this beautiful one here, and I think, if I'm right, Christine actually is the one who gifted me this copy. So thank you, Christine. You are so sweet.
Is this an indie published one, or is this?
It is. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the covers are really well done. Like, truly.
Yeah, they are.
Great job. Just goes to show, I assume, let me double check. I was like, oh, it's actually by someone too. I'll have to look them up. But like, if this is clip art, see, you can still make a pretty cover with clip art or with,
absolutely,
doing what you got to do. Okay,
stock photos.
That's right, stock photos. That's the word. I was like, clip art is like from the whatever. Jenna Bigelow is on my TBR.
Hey, Melody. Hello.
Hello, welcome. Hi, Candace. Hey, girl.
Hello.
Oh, look at everybody popping in. We're just so excited. But anyway,
I'm so excited.
I know.
Sorry, I don't mean to shout.
No. It's not shouting. Hello. Who are we talking about? Well, I know you just finished this one. So you
literally
tell me your overall rating for this one.
Me go first? Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I gave it 4 stars. 4.
Nice. Nice. All right. What did everybody think of it?
I thought it was super readable, really easy to get into. I liked the characters. It was a fun one.
Yeah. Love that she has a clinch cover. Hey, it is pretty well done for what it is. Like, I even love, we'll talk about this when we get to the end, but like book 2, I love the cover even more, which appears that it will be Max's book. So definitely do want to continue. Spoiler alert for my thoughts later. So I gave this one a 3.5, but I would probably round down to a 3. We'll get into the whys of it, but I agree with the like very readable. Nothing about it extremely offended me. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because that's probably why I'm going to round it down, and we'll talk about. But from what I can tell too, this is the debut besides the prequel novella. And I don't want to say like I can like kind of tell. I always feel like a bitch when I say that, but like there are definitely some aspects where I feel like I can tell.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just about taking on this new kind of like, this setting is just not the normal place we would be. So yeah, let me see here. Linda gave it a 4. Love that.
Linda, we're twins. We both gave it 4.
Rated it 3.5. I actually did just see your review, Amber. I agreed with a lot of what you said. That was great. You like book 2 more. Good to know. I liked it much, but not all of it. Would definitely read more from this author. Great. Love hearing that.
Yeah.
Some other people think of this one. So yeah, my overall is it'd be a 3.5, but I would probably round down. And part of that is just because I was evaluating against a lot. I always give 3.5 when I'm being a fence sitter. You know, we all do.
Yeah.
And when I look at other books I've given 3.5 and round up, I like them more than this. So that's why I was like, I'd give it 3.5, but like I'd probably round down for me. So let's get into the why about that. So, oh wait, let me read what you said there first, girl. I originally gave it 4.5. I was super impressed with it as a debut and loved that she was doing something entirely new.
Yeah.
Was probably more forgiving because of that. That being said, each book has gotten better. See, I love to hear that, Erin, because again, spoiler alert for like, I will keep reading this author. I'll just put that out there with it. Not that I need to excuse my like rating of it. You'll hear the things that I have to say that I don't like. We're getting to it. But what did we like best about this one?
Oh man, honestly, the hero. I liked the hero best.
Yeah.
He was pretty great. Like I liked how there were some very stereotypical, but I love them like defending his woman's honor, like when they were intimate, he just said some beautiful things that she was his wife. Like, and honestly, that goes pretty far for me. Like a hero like that is gonna get a higher rating usually, unless there's other stuff that just really doesn't vibe with me, you know. But
well, let's save this, Linda, for the next part of it, the concern part. Well, let's talk about what we like best first, everyone.
Because I definitely also have concerns, but that's by far the thing I
for
like
sure
best.
Linda. You gotta co-sign for me, but we'll get to that. Because my best part of it was the unique setting, even it being like, I'm gonna again share the concerns of like, if I didn't have this cover on the book, I mean, I don't know, a lot of it is referencing, it's very much set around the time, like with the political intrigue of it. I liked being able to read like a political story that didn't like stir up political of our time stuff. I don't know, maybe it did for other people, but for me, I was like, oh wow, I could read this and it very much felt like out of time political discussion, like of this time's political discussions. Like it wasn't so much about the individual issues, which I feel like can very easily fire all of us up, no matter where we like sit on it. But it was very much about like, I'm just trying to get in there, be a voice of the people as someone who's a freed person. And so I really enjoyed the unique setting, even if I think the vernacular and just like how she actually told it was what made me worry about when is this actually set. I think that's where the disconnect of that came from. But in general, I loved that it was a setting. That's why I was excited to read this. I want to be able to expand my range of what is historical, right? Often when we go to this type of setting, it has to have fantasy involved for this to be the setting. Example being Juliet Cross's series she has going, but there's other ones too that use Rome as a basis. There always has to be some fantasy involved. And I like that it was like, I can tell she did her history research on the names of the things and how the process worked and everything. And that is, to me, that's the history part that's important. I don't think we would enjoy it if I don't know. That's tough because like if they were talking like Victorians, that wouldn't feel right to us either. So I just don't know. Like that's what's hard. But in general, that was the best part to me is I was like, I haven't read a historical like this before, and it doesn't have to have more. So anyway, that was a lot that I just said. Go ahead. Sorry.
Me or who?
Well,
no, I pretty much I also really enjoyed the setting, but I do have complaints about that, but we'll save that for the next section. But I also agree that it was very unique, and I did like how a lot of the issues that they were struggling with, like the political issues, they were in a different time period, but you could see echoes of how they affect like all human history, So I liked that too. Honestly, I really have pretty much zero interest in Roman history. Like I am not interested in that. Even when I try to read like a hyped up adult fantasy that's based in Roman, I'm just like, I'm really not interested. So truthfully, probably wasn't going to read this one because of that, because I just don't
Yeah.
really care. I'm just not interested. It's one of those that's like, I don't want to read World War One or World War II books. I also don't want to read like Roman history. Like it's just not something that at all appeals to me. So all that being said,
Yeah.
I did like the novelty of it and the
Mhm.
uniqueness, especially in a historical setting, because it's usually either a few time periods that you get, you
That's
know.
right.
So yeah.
Very true. Ruth had Alias was so honest about his history and why he wanted to be married. Never tried to mislead Crispina. That's what I really was guessing on how to pronounce a lot of these names. That's the thing too. I appreciated how honorable he was and that he was so patient with her. She was a tough nut to crack. I enjoyed the Roman setting a lot, but I agree it could have been more detailed. He was so romantic. The swoons get me every time. The only reason I was guessing the time was when they brought up the Spartacus uprising.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Also thought Max was
Yeah.
adorable, graceful, and added to it.
I
Okay.
totally agree about that. Max
I
was a
think a
really
lot
good
of people
addition.
like the hero. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I dislike the hero so much. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be unpopular. And
So funny.
that gets to my what I like the least part of it. And I'll tell you, it's a few specific things. I agree. I loved the part about their intimacy. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Love that he was honest. Love that. But the third act, I was ready to chuck him out the window. Okay. I do not give her a pass, by the way. I will tell you
Yeah.
once we get there. I'm not giving her a pass either. Okay. But the fact that he kept Max and was like, you're not going to see Max. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm done. Okay, dude, you wouldn't even have a kid to adopt if not for this woman. Okay,
Yeah.
who already feels up. She always feels horrible. She lost her last marriage because she couldn't have a baby.
Mhm.
So worried about that. She finds a kid that you don't even want to take in. And then when things go south, you were not going to, like, she wasn't going to see Max. To jail. To jail. It swept all the other romantic stuff out for me. Okay. See, I'm getting very passionate about this. Like, and I'm mad because I did like him. And
Mhm.
even when she was betraying him, I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you're playing right into this. It just felt like that type of, now I'm yelling. Just back up. I'm not
No,
actually
go for it. That's
right?
the
Like,
whole
I'm not
point. Be
actually
passionate. Be passionate. Let it out. Let it out.
Like, I liked him a lot. So that's why
Yeah.
it slashed how much I loved him in half
Mhm.
because of just so many reasons. Because he also knows how tough it is for women at that time. He understands why and how she was being manipulated. As soon as he found out like what she was doing, I understand him being betrayed, but I really needed him to get over this a lot faster than he did. Like, whatever. His whole purpose for this marriage was his political career. Also, understand that. Again,
Mhm.
she's not getting a pass from me when you see what I have to say about her either. But he was like, the whole third act stuff with him, the fact that like the divorce plan was always to just pass her off anyway, didn't love that. Yes, he was honest about marrying her, and he'd been like, oh, well, there'll be properties I'm able to give you. Would she be able to go live there alone? I don't think so, because you're still going to want to marry someone else. So she'll be her divorcee and be handed back over to her family. How do you think you're just going to be able to go give her land or like a place to go stay and she'll be fine? That's not how it works. You can't just, if you're divorcing her, then she has to go back to her parents. So you won't be able to just give her a place if you want to marry someone else and then have a kid. Like, you were always going to have to send her back to her parents. And I was just like, are you not thinking of that? Like, are you not thinking of that? So he was romantic. I loved how their intimate life was. I loved seeing him bond with Max, but like, he wouldn't even have Max without her and like just didn't even like keep her. And then was just like, you've ruined everything, you're gone. And I'm like, this is one of those cases where I'm like, dude, you have a mother who you saw how tough it was for her, you know. And I've read the prequel. That was the first thing I did read by this author. And not only do I also hate that his like dad is dead, by the way, way to ruin a happily ever after of like the last book. I hate when that happens. That's why you shouldn't do prequels where the person's dead. I had that problem with Aaron Langston too, but at least that's like many, many more years later that he's gone. But like, I just, it made him the worst part for me. Their whole plan was flawed from the start. And then for him to like, I understood him being mad, but I wanted him to be mad and also keep her at his house. Like, that is where the third act could be fixed for me. Is it was all like, oh, we're gonna see ourselves through the blah, 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 get through the election, and like, no, you send her back to her parents who degrade her, humiliate her, and make her feel stupid and unwanted. So I wanted him to be angry and leave space emotionally, but still keep her in his home where she was safe. And like, she did give you a kid, so you won't need to marry anyone else. So you don't need to divorce her then. Like,
Yeah.
my whole problem with it is that it was flawed from the start. And then once miraculously we have Max, who I adored, you then shouldn't have been like, well, I'm going to go through with divorce. Like, that's where the whole problem was for me, is that we sent her back to her parents. If he had then followed through with like, he was giving her a place to stay and wasn't going to do the divorce, and then she still came through for him, and like, because it felt like everything was her fault and she had to fix it for it to be okay. Okay. So he was the worst part for me. There you go.
That's valid. That is very valid. I do feel like as a hero, I feel like he was very immovable in a lot of his decision processes. Like, he had a thought of how things were going to be, and he really struggled the whole book through to change that thought process at all and to see other options. And I think that's what makes that third act conflict so frustrating, is because that's not the first time you've seen him like that. You know, you saw him like that when Max first came into the house and everything. I do feel like, and like you said, like the conflict from the beginning was set up in a way that was going to be very messy. It was going to be very messy, and it was not going to be an easy fix. And you just knew there was going to be pain in there, right? And stupid decisions. So I wasn't necessarily upset about that, but I can totally see how you were. But I also feel like, in general, I am pretty tolerant about people doing stupid things in third act conflicts, because I do stupid things all the time.
Yeah. It was literally, it all comes down to the one choice of her being sent back to her parents. Like, literally, he could be cold to her, still be immovable, choose not to talk to her, and have her be in his house where they share Max within his house. It was unforgivable for me for him to send her back to her parents. And literally where he was just like, she's going back to her parents. That's it. No. For me, I was like, no. Like, all the other stuff can still be the same if he would have just been like, even still thinking about the divorce, but she was in his house. Like, he literally said, get out. No. Nope. I don't come back from it. It still would have been just as painful if, like, he's playing with Max and she comes into the room and he's like, won't talk to her. Like, if he pretends she's not there and they're in the same house, I still would have been like, he's working through it, but like, she's not in the emotional, like, having to be at her pain. Like, that's literally the one decision that would have like saved him as a hero for me, because then he's still being valiant while still being a jerk and like ignoring her. Like,
and
I can't forget it.
I don't know that I necessarily agree, and I don't think either of us is wrong, because I feel like keeping her in the house with him being cold and moving on, like, that dynamic, I feel like, has exponential potential for pain for her, whereas her just going back to her parents is going to be absolutely miserable and hopeless. But being in that type of circumstance with someone who you thought loved you and is now like that would have been unforgivable for me, because to me that would be selfish,
But Max, though, that is where the issue is. We have Max now, and she can't see Max, and she's with her parents. Like, yes, it would be so painful to be there. And if she had been like, I can't stay here, and wanted to go, then I'm okay with that. She's like, well, I'm not going to live here. Will you ignore me? Like, it's the fact that he said, get out. That's where it's off. Like, the same thing. If she was like, I'm not going to stay here, if you're just going to make me see this pain, I'll go. Fine. But he said, get out. That's the thing.
I think just really clearly shows that from the very beginning, and the time period in itself, like, he has all of the power in this relationship. The whole way through, he has all of the power. And she is completely dependent on trusting him. And I don't know. So yeah, I think your feelings are totally fair.
Yeah. Because I mean, of course, that was my point, is like, it would be absolutely cold and just so painful to be there. But then what was the whole point of his political career too? That's where it would be like, well, now you've put us in this mess where now you have to sit here and sit in it until this election is through. And then she could be like, no, I'm not going to be tortured that way. I'm going to go. But like, again, we added Max in there when we did. And I just, like, how would he have felt if he was taken away from his mom? Like, I needed some
Yeah.
more realization of, like, she's gifted you with this child, even though she can't have one, and that's what you needed, and I love the revelations that came with that, but
Mhm.
it all comes down to him kicking her out for me.
Yeah.
That is the unforgivable
That's a
part,
deal breaker for you.
where if she'd went to go, like, literally, he can be like, "Well, I'm not gonna talk to her." She's like, "Well, I'm not gonna sit here and see you hate me," and she chooses to left, because then she
Mhm.
can be like, "I know Max will be better off because he'll eventually be happy with him," and, like, she could have that, but for him telling her to go when he knew what a horrible place she was in, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there then wasn't enough work done to it. That's the other part then, which is, I was saving this kind of for the plot part of it, but whatever, I'm so passionate about it already. Why I said this felt like a first book for me is we
Mhm.
didn't emotionally, like, dive into those parts of that to
Yeah.
make it smooth over for me more. Like,
That's true.
there was a lot of, like, that level of pain and anguish you wanna dive into, like, I know I act like I'm a sissy about that, but I like ink sometimes too, like, I know I always say I don't, and that's the thing, but, like, in this scenario, the true pain is evident, so if it's already there, if
Mhm.
you're making these big emotions of, like, 2 people who, like, she never thought she'd get to be a parent, he is really trying to get this lifelong goal, like, there are 2 lifelong goals of these people that are in jeopardy
Yeah.
with this. Him losing his political spot, her possibly she didn't even think she could be a mother, and now she has it and it's gone. Like, I just needed us to, like, spend more time in it, and that's where I think this being kind of a debut becomes clear, because I think another author could have just given me just a few more chapters of reflection of it,
Yeah.
so that it didn't
And
just feel so senselessly kick her out, and then she fixes it for him, and then whatever. So,
what question are we on? What did we like least? Can I share some of mine? Because
yes,
one of
yes,
them ties
please.
in with that one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
one of my major complaints with this was that everything we didn't get to really linger in any place so that
Mhm.
feelings could kind of, you could really kind of feel what was happening. Everything, it just felt a little rushed the whole way through.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you just said echoes that, like, exactly. If we had had more
Yes.
time and maybe not just move things along so quickly, I think it
Yep.
would have worked so much better in that way. Um,
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It was just too abrupt. I wanted to read Aaron's before we
yeah,
move on to the next one. Like, I think what really made me forgive all of it was that they stuck to the infertility story. There wasn't a magic baby and adoption. It was, there was no magic baby and adoption was explored in the whole way.
yeah.
Yes. And bringing this up, I should have said this in a favorite. So there's something that's stuck with me for my entire life, actually, by the way, I'm going to bring up. And it's that, if I'm not mistaken, and I shouldn't be because this has again been something I've thought about my whole life, is that I believe in the culture and the time, adopting a child was more firm and lasting than if you birthed it yourself. Because if you choose to adopt a child and take them on, you are choosing them. They aren't birthed to you. Whereas you
Mhm.
can disown a child that you have birthed, you can't with one you adopt. And the reason that stuck by me is a religious thing. I learned that in a Sunday school when I was a really little child. So this adoption storyline in this book really struck me
Yeah.
as really beautiful. Like,
Mhm.
again, whether if I'm perfectly recategorizing that, pardon me, that's 30 years older. So, but to me, that made this a very moving story as well. Of, like, I love when adoption gets explored. Usually it's
Yeah.
just a, like, single parent and the other new partner is the one adopting the kid. Obviously, that's why I love The Takeover. Love it. Um, but to have them, like, both have adopted this child, like, I think is beautiful.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I also was happy there wasn't a magic baby, because
Mhm.
I mean, I wouldn't have been mad because I love pregnancies. Like,
I
I
know,
wouldn't have
me
been
too.
mad either way if they'd adopted Max and then she was pregnant, because there really
Mhm.
was no proof that it was her fault anyway. Um, like, truly. I was fine with it being this way. I love that they adopted Max. And it was a pattern, like, he was adopted by his stepfather. So, I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful thing. So,
So
anyway,
the
yes,
other
yep, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. The other thing that this kind of goes back to Linda's about the world building. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know that I know enough about Roman history to say the world building didn't feel right, but
Right.
I did struggle, even though I knew it had like modern type of language. That really kind of was a little hard for me because it felt excessively modern, specifically when Max came in and some of the things that he would say, like he said ain't a lot. And I just sort of felt like this feels like Americans who are cosplaying in Roman costumes. Like, so that was something that kind of bothered me a little bit, but it wasn't, like I said, like it wasn't enough to make me really hate it. And I don't know, but yeah, I did kind of struggle with that a good amount.
Yeah. And we got to keep pushing on here. I told you I had a lot to say about it. No, that is not you. Hello, I ranted for 10 minutes. I just mean
it was a good rant. I liked it.
Well, that's rarely you who's talking too much. Let's be real. But I do know too that I've listened to some ancient Roman historians before, and like it would be silly of us to assume that we're the only ones who have our colloquialisms and our modern language ever in time, right? True. We only see written things, which are very costly and expensive to write things. So they're going to put the very best on paper. So who's to say what it was like? But again, that's a jump that you don't want to have to be double thinking that when you're reading. And that's why I said I do wonder, like, if they were speaking almost in like formal, like British talk, like if we would just accept that more, even though that's not true, but because that's what our mind thinks of with a historical. So interesting thought. Okay, let's keep going. And I mean, because this is the thing, I think we said this. So
yeah, he's a 0 for Jenn.
No. He absolutely was not. And this is why I said I didn't give anyone a pass. I gave him a 5. Okay. But I'm just telling you, he was at like an 8.5.
Yeah.
That's why the 5 sucks. So
it does. Yeah.
That's for me. He's
probably an 8 for me, honestly.
Yeah. Great. Tell me what you think, everybody, and then I'll tell you my problems that I had with the gal, because I've just been wrangling on him, but I have problems with her too. I think everyone said you were swooning for him. He was great. My comments aren't coming through for him, but if you decide to comment, just comment what you rate both of them, because I'm going to keep moving on because we're halfway through and we have another book to go, so I have to keep going. What did you rate the heroine?
Oh man, honestly, I probably would give her a 7. She was pretty frustrating at times, but I also feel like not to say that he didn't come from a really painful background, but she definitely seemed more burned by it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing a 6 for him, an 8 for him. I gave her a 6. So yeah, he was a 5, she was a 6 for me. I liked her slightly better, same reasons. My biggest issue for her is like, I forgive her betrayal more because of the position she's in.
Yeah.
And how important her dreams were to her. And the fact that she just has this one thing she does for herself. And because of how legalistic and upstanding he is, I can see why she wouldn't feel like she could share that secret with him.
True.
So I understand why she was afraid to do that, and now it's too late. I'm stuck with it, right? But yeah, I also just think that it's just really tough to really pick her apart as much, because every decision she made, I'm like, she didn't have any other options.
Yeah.
Like, really. I mean, yes, she could have told him. But when has she ever seen things like work out if she tried to get you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But my other thought would be for her is I would like, do you think they'll just have you sabotage him one time? Like that's always the thing with blackmail is I was like, so you do this, you blow up your relationship with him, you risk things with Max. You think the guy's just going to let you do that as well? He's not a nice person. So you're probably going to lose it anyway.
Yeah.
So better you talk to him, right? So, but again, that's all like, again, I wish we'd lingered more in her thought process. It just feels like she so immediately backstabs him when he has one dream. Now, he could have been better about sharing other dreams and his hopes for other things, but she thinks this is only going to be a short-term thing for him because he never says any different. So, like, yeah, that's what I mean is like, she's still not my favorite heroine I've ever read, but I do give her a little more of a break than I do for him.
Yeah.
And the pain of the past that she's had, and just showing how utterly powerless women were. And it didn't matter if you were the daughter of a good household or not, like you were nothing. And,
Mhm.
you know, he uses his reason of like, well, I was a slave before. And I'm like, yeah, but you still have more power now than her. As a freed man going to, you have more power than her. And
Yeah.
again, you should know that because of your mom, who's still there in the house telling you these things. Like,
Mhm. True.
boys raised by smart women should be a little smarter. As we know. Like, granted, in fiction, I can say that. I'm not being a mother of sons myself, but you'd hope so. Still sticking with an 8 for him. Yes, absolutely. She was a 6, 7. She frustrated me. Honestly, black male drama is always frustrating, right? Yeah. But yet it's tried and true for a reason. Okay, I'm gonna keep pushing everybody. Yeah, so then what did we think of the romance? And this is where like the part where they're actually romancing, I thought was pretty sweet. Like I don't
Yeah.
have horrible things to say about it. I of course love a heroine was traumatized by sex before, and the hero's like, "We'll just take our
Yeah.
time, and
That was great.
we don't have to do
I
anything." Very sweet.
I feel like the falling in love was great. It was
Yes.
the staying in love that was a problem.
Mm-hmm. 6 at the most for her. He tried so hard to earn her trust until Max, but she refused to give him a chance. Like Alias said, they could have dealt with the blackmail as partners. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
But did he make her think that her thoughts were also important? I don't know. I don't know if he was doing a great job. But she chose to betray him instead. Fair enough. But I just come back to the power imbalance of it all is why. I mean, it's why, too, I was nervous about a Roman romance at all. Just
Mhm.
because I know, just from the stuff that I know, I feel like it's difficult to do. But I agree with Ruth. That's where my frustration came from. Yeah. Yeah. And that leads us well into what, okay, well, we're talking about the romance for a second, though. Yeah. I thought it was very sweet. I just, again, go back to like, I feel like it took so long to get to them being married. And then we have this tiny bit of time where they're like experimenting, falling in love, like doing some of the things together. Then we get Max, then it's betrayal. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I rarely say this, you guys know, but I feel like this one could have used 30 to 50 more pages. Like it's under 300. And I mean, that's good. She didn't write a 500-page
Or
thing, but
a more narrow focus. Like
yeah.
she just put way too many
Yeah.
things
Or
in
like get to
there.
the point faster. Like it's a marriage of convenience. We know that thing. Like, don't take so
Mhm.
long for her to be convinced, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe to like move along faster. But this leads to how like the plot was handled. And this question overall, I feel like we made these questions 5 years ago or so. I feel like we've talked about the
Yeah.
plot already, so we don't
Yeah.
really need to.
We've pretty much covered that.
Yeah, we pretty much did. We like the romance, we like things. Again, I thought it was unique in some senses,
Mhm.
but let's see this here. I liked that the romance was a slow build and there was some good, uncomfortable communication about intimacy.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that too.
I
That
love
felt
that.
real and made me appreciate the work it took to get there. Yes,
Mhm.
love that. Love that. Well, oh, and the uncomfortable conversation about intimacy. I loved her reasoning for she's like, I don't want intercourse because I don't
Yeah.
want you to be hoping. You know, like
Yes.
if there's this, and she didn't know about mutual pleasure other ways, because of course her previous husband, they just only believe sex is for one thing with your wife. So why would she know that when he's like, "Oh, well, we can find other stuff to do." And that was a great way to build the intimacy without either of them having to be worried about it. I thought that was very clever. Very
Yeah, I
clever.
agree.
So then the like, whether books have you read? Would you read them again? Like I said, I've read the prequel, which is about Alice's mom and the stepdad, and I enjoyed that one. And
Mhm.
I would read again. Like I would read Max's book for sure. Like I will
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I would definitely read this author again for sure. I think that overall this is a pretty solid debut, especially when it comes to just we're just not getting new historical romance
Yeah.
authors anymore. So I would definitely read her again. I would be really interested to see what other time periods she would write too. Like
Yeah.
if she I'm sure she will. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I would assume she would try others.
It was so different and like stands
Yeah.
out. And one thing I will say too, and this is of course, absolutely a compliment. It almost felt like it should be in like a Harlequin select,
Yeah.
like if they did the Roman period.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like it could fit in there.
Yeah.
Again, I definitely had a good time. And for this being the beginning, as I said, standout. I would round it down to a 3, but like it's a 3.5. Like I will read more. Like
It's a
I
tough
absolutely
one. Yeah. Yeah.
like there was no sins in it so awful that I like hated. Like there was no hate. It was gonna be a 4 until the third act. Like I'm just telling you. Okay. Because that destroyed the hero. And when you destroy the hero, in the same way that a hero makes the book for Crystal, it tanks the book for me. So
Absolutely. And
I'd like to
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's do it. Let's talk about the pain that was of Lands of High and Low.
Has anybody read it? If you had, give us your rating.
Yeah, Linda, did you finish? Like, who all read this? I mean, I'm pretty sure Aaron did, right? Aaron read this.
Yeah,
one?
Aaron did. Aaron is where I got the recommendation.
She's writing. Sorry, I was talking faster than the people. She's writing Gladiators in 2026. Love. Crystal Max is all about the heroine in his book. Yes, yeah. And see, I've heard that from the teases because I got on her email list once I read the prequel, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a big, strong softie. Because then I think it skips 10 years again and we get Max's book. So love the nuance of the combo, even not having read. Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. To help you decide as well.
I feel like we almost always have great discussions when we disagree.
Yeah.
Or even when it's just a book that we just love, it's just a gush fest, which is also fun. But it's fun when you can like delve into it and talk about things like that. So of Lands High and Low, Jen, I'm really curious to hear your rating about this one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know I teased you guys at her reading sprints today, but so I also gave wrong thing. I also gave this book 3.5 stars, but I would round this one up to a 4.
Interesting. Okay.
And that's so overall impressions. This reminded me of Poldark by Winston Graham. 100%. That is what I was thinking. I have great nostalgic feelings for that book series. I've read all 12 books in that series. Of course, the TV show is great, but I've read all 12 books, and his books are devastating with little pockets of romance in them that you absolutely hang off of every word of any kindness that happens because those books just gut you from stem to stern.
I'm sorry, it's not funny.
I mean, I'm being very dramatic about it, but that's my overall impression is like, I did not hate this. I was in pain the whole time, but I just wish I'd had the right perspective for it. The only thing that I knew is Crystal had said this was a closed door romance. So I knew that, and I knew the setting, but I didn't even read the blurb, y'all, because for Rake Appreciation Society, I don't bother. We're going to read it.
I didn't either, you guys. I'm so sorry. I didn't read the blurb.
Trigger warnings there.
I didn't check trigger warnings, and this definitely has a lot of them.
Yep. This one I think will, and here we go. So Linda said it's a 3 or a 2. Of Lands High and Low is a 5-star, very emotional, beautiful, very much. Weirdly, I rated both 4.75. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
I did not read this one. By looking at the reviews, I worried that it was going to be more religiously oriented than I cared to read about. I have some stuff to say about that.
It definitely was. So I could see that.
But also not that much. Because it's historical romance, so I think it was the type of argument and trouble you run into. Like Outlander has very similar arguments. Like that was also something I thought of. I thought of Outlander. Of course, they're Scottish, but that's not why. The like not wanting to look at any advancements in medicine. They're like, if God didn't give it to you, like that type of stuff very much happens in Outlander, and happened in the Poldark series too. So
So I gave this one 5 stars.
Yep.
I loved it. It was painful, but I agree with Aaron said it was a beautifully told story, and I completely agree. I loved the way she told this story. I just loved everything about it as a story overall. I thought that the characters were excellent. I really loved the character development, and I we'll talk about that later. Those are my 5 stars.
Yes. So the best parts of it is the next step. So What were the best parts?
So for me, I really feel like the parts of this that were the best for me was just the way she told the story. I
Yeah.
just I everything felt like it was perfectly paced, and I felt like we were given a lot, not a lot, but the adequate amount of time in each situation before we moved along to the next. And I felt like
Mhm.
we got good glimpses into the characters' personalities and who they were. One of my favorite parts about this was the character of the hero, who
Mhm.
is
Yes.
very, very um, vulnerable with his feelings. And in a
Mhm.
time when he probably is not necessarily allowed to be, we get to see that, and watching him struggle with feelings of guilt and inadequacy and taking everything on as a burden, and him kind of striving to get past that. Like, I loved how gritty this felt at times, but not gritty in like a action-packed thriller type of way, like gritty and emotional realness. Like, this felt like a
Yeah.
very real story. I
Yeah.
just I really, really enjoyed all of it. And there was a few romantic moments in here that were very like sparely told. It wasn't necessarily like as swoony as the previous book. I feel like there was more swoon in some of the romantic exchanges between the hero and heroine in the book we
Mhm.
talked about earlier.
Right.
But there were but in a way that's what made me love this one even more, because there is a scene where he hugs her. He puts his arms
Yeah.
around her, and
Mhm.
she's like, for the first time, a man is holding her, and she's just so overwhelmed with that. And I felt like that
Yeah.
was just such an exquisitely told scene. And there
Mhm.
were several like that just had a lot of power for me personally. But it wasn't overwhelmingly romantic and swoony. But the parts that we got, I felt like had
Yeah.
so much emotion behind them that,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this this book felt like it was definitely sadder than I was expecting, and there
Right.
was a lot of grief and death,
Mhm.
but there were so much about this book that is everything that I like
Yeah.
in books.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. I put the best parts for me were the atmosphere and the plot, actually.
Mhm.
I again, not knowing any of that going in, I wish this is totally, I mean, I don't blame anyone else for any of that. If I had read the blurb of this, it would have told me what it was about, and it
Mhm.
would have told me what the trigger should have been in my head, because I know what it means when there's an outbreak of a thing, right? So just being
Yeah.
clear, like, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone for that. And I thought that the tone of this was very evident right away once you start reading it. And there's great weight given to the danger that we're all in and the trauma that the hero went through. Like,
Yeah.
he's honestly going through a journey of, like, I mean, he's given up on the career that he's been, like, called into, because
Yeah.
he has his first death and it's the most traumatic one possible, from his hubris and, like, trying to prove something to his father, and his father dies, and he's just like, "I can't even be a doctor, I'm a fraud," like, immediate, like, that is just so traumatic, and, like,
Yes.
finding that slowly come out through different parts of it is just devastating, like,
Mhm.
oh, and then I feel like him being emotional is, I mean, A, not just showing that he's a compassionate, beautiful man, like, that's great, but it also makes sense because they're in a high stress, sleep
Yeah.
deprived, desperate situation,
True.
and you're gonna get emotional. And he can't get emotional about the people dying. I mean, he does, but I mean, like, he can't get emotional about that because then you just never get above the floor. So he has these moments with her where, as he calls her, his safe harbor
Mhm.
and safe place, and he can tell her those things, like, just beautiful. So
Yeah.
I like the atmosphere and the plot. And again, this is a high, high compliment. Poldark is one of my favorite series. I don't talk about it as much because I'm all about the you know what up here. But it's like in second place as my favorite, like, long running series. And this absolutely gave the vibes of that, even the
Mhm.
kind of the setting of it. And I just immediately understood all of these people and characters that were being introduced because I've read other books like this. Their fear, their superstition, they're
Yeah.
afraid to go against the church. The church was higher than the law. The church was the law then.
Mhm.
And it's all about how people are interpreting what they read. There was some beautiful lines that I tell you, I screenshotted a few lines. Um, and one of them I remember being, let me find it here. I'm going to read this because it just shook me. He's like, she says to her uncle, you create a choice where none is required. Every choice, and then the uncle says, every choice is a choice between God and the devil. I stand by God as I always have. And if you persist in choosing to rebel against him, if you insist on keeping his company, I wash my hands of you, which sounds like it's that sounds like a super religious take, but it's honestly it's a fear and superstition take. And like, it is all about how we interpret information that we get and how we grew up advising that. And the fear these people have who've probably never been anywhere.
Yeah.
But these two, this hero and this heroine who take this all on, they have been places and they've seen that it can be worse than this. And if we have the possibility to help this, why wouldn't we do that? Let me read a couple of these and then I'll move on here. Aaron, I agree with what Crystal said. I thought the small, sweet moments amongst the stark reality of the time period were really special. Agreed. Atmosphere was excellent. She has another Scottish series. Yes, he says. We'll talk about. Yes, I definitely was eyeing him up, Aaron, for sure. So I like the writing and the atmosphere, says Christine. I love the hero, how much he risked to help the people that were prejudiced against him. That's beautiful. Yeah. So those are the best parts for me.
I mean, love it. There's something that I feel like I am always searching for in any type of book that has like staying power. And it's when, like what that comment just previously said about how these just felt like such real people, and the best, both the best and the worst of them. Like her uncle, who is so convinced that he is doing what's right by her, that he is doing what's best for her, and he's making all these choices that are leading to death and destruction, and just how difficult that is. Like that seems like such a real, relatable scenario, and maybe that's just me talking as a parent, but I feel like as a parent, that's what you do. You try to do what's best for your kids, but your kids don't necessarily see it that way. And that just felt like the cost in this was extremely high. But everybody in here, I feel like, captures the best parts of being human alongside some of the worst parts of being human. And it just, like, that is just such a special reading experience for me. That combined with a lot of not a lot, but some of the very quiet romantic moments, which are just like my favorite thing. I love that. So
yes. Yeah. Erin said she likes that line too. I would say that the story is religious in context of the time period, but doesn't read like a Christian romance.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yep. Oops. Clicked too many times. I like that it was opposing religious viewpoints. So why I want to bring that up is that it would be honestly like ingenuous to not have religion be in a story at this time. That's my thing on it. Is I understand authors who don't make that the focus, or they often make the church the enemy. That didn't feel that way to me in this. It felt like the specific, because it's even said like none of the other churches are doing it. Like other churches are doing the virulation. This one isn't, and they're saying everyone else is the heretic, but maybe people are saying about them. Like anyway, so I understand people saying, and I know none of you are saying this, I understand people saying they don't want to read a religious romance, or they don't want to read, they don't want to read one that leans too heavily into it. I would say that it doesn't. It's more about the opposing viewpoints part of it. And at this time period, it would be a lie for it not to be the church that was in there, because it is, like it was.
Very true. Yeah.
And again, if you read like This Is in Poldark like that too, it's an Outlander like that too. Sometimes you align with what the religious perspective is, sometimes you don't. And then it's only when people get scared that they start calling someone a heretic and they're threatening to put them in jail if it doesn't work out. Like, so again, and I'm not chastising anyone who felt that it would be too religious. I'm not. I'm just saying that whether this author is a Christian author or not, I didn't feel like this was written with like, it must be a Christian romance because that's why. Like, they're not even talking about anything superly Christian in it. They're just saying God says you can't do this.
It did feel very time period appropriate, and I liked that, because like that again added this baked in level of realness, and the threat of like the church was kind of like the law and the police. Like I liked that a lot.
So I thought that was fantastic. And one other like comment on this, and this kind of has to do with the hero, but this also has to do with faith. this is at the very like end of it. And Margaret says, Mr. McNeil, thank you for saving my children. I'm not going to try to do a Scottish accent, everybody. Sorry. And Graham says, I cannot lay claim to thanks, Mrs. Hune. The thanks is to God. And then Isla says to him, do you truly give yourself no credit for the lives you've helped save? And he says, no. And she says, then it is only fair that you accept none of the blame whenever things go awry. And he says, you're pretty smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. So true. But anyway, okay, let's talk about, I put this up there, if there's anything we liked the least. And like, truly for me, I mean, it was that this read like historical fiction to me, more so. And that's not to say the romance wasn't powerful. But I think that we could have taken it out and we'd mostly have the same story. And that's usually the thing that I put it upon, because we can have romance in historical fiction just as we can in regular fiction. So that really was where my sole like final star is, like why it's not a 5-star or 4.5-star for me, is that I felt like the romance was beautiful, and I'll talk about that when I talk about them, but it was so long and slow into it that I just didn't get enough of it. That's just my personal thing. And we're just talking about least. This isn't the worst part. This wasn't the worst part or awful to it. I just mean, for me, with how much pain and stuff it is, I wish we'd started their interest like sooner. Just so we could have, because I was fine with it being closed door. I don't think it would have been appropriate in this situation. I didn't feel like I was deprived of any of that. I just wanted more of it. And the stuff that we got, I feel like was all in the last 50 pages of the book. And for it being a historical romance, I wanted it to come in sooner, because that's always what Jen's about here. That's always what I'm going to say when this happens. I think it was still a beautifully told story, but I would say the same to any, and I have said to any contemporary authors who make it more about other things. So that's just for me. I just wanted more. That's my only.
No, I definitely agree. Like there was definitely, I was definitely expecting the romance to begin sooner. It didn't have to like fully establish itself, but it did take quite a while for that to happen. And I do feel like in that way, it does kind of ride that line between historical fiction and historical romance. But I do feel like the romance is so crucial to who the characters are that, you know, like it's necessary to the story, but it took a long time. There was a ton of setup of the characters, their back, which honestly I don't mind at all. Like but I was noticing that, and I was expecting it to start sooner, and I can see how that would not be what people are looking for if they are used to reading a lot of historical romance, because this feels a lot different in how the story is set up. And you know, there was also sometimes like this does have a very bleak feel, a lot of it, you know, and that can be very heavy. And for a while I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because it just felt like so oppressive and so heavy. But then we would get some of those really beautiful moments, and they were few. They weren't a ton, but they were so powerful to me as a reader that I feel like they even shone brighter because of how bleak and oppressive the whole story felt. And so by the time I finished it, I was like, that's a 5-star read. And even though along the way I was like, I don't know, but when you come to the end of it, it just, everything felt like if they had started the romance sooner, I would have liked that too. Would it have had the same impact and power on me personally? I don't know. If it wasn't as bleak as it was, if there wasn't so much like grief to overcome, would I have felt as powerful as I did about the emotional, like, I don't know. So I sort of feel like I noticed things like that. They weren't anything that docked stars for me. And at the end, I felt like they were all necessary for the story that she was telling. So, but I can totally see how people wouldn't feel like that, because, you know, like it's definitely atypical when it comes to what you expect from just a historical romance. Like, I definitely think the Roman one, the Tribune Temptation, fits more of what we're looking at as far as like story beats and pacing and when they get together. Like, that's more typical. But that also may be why I enjoyed this so much, because it felt surprising in a lot of ways, you know?
Yeah. No, I don't have any other like critiques of it. Like really, it truly was just the balance. I'm always go back to balance. I go back to the balance of pain and angst to the payoff. And you're right, those little moments shine so much brighter because of all of the pain. But I just would have liked some more on the end of it. Like I wish her finding her dad wasn't in the epilogue.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like it's just that shift of it, right? Because I thought this was a powerful story. I will find ways to recommend it. I again would hold it up to when I say to people, if you like Poldark, read this. I think they would. And I have the highest of thoughts of Wintergraham series. I adore it. It's so good. So yeah.
And
it's just about what you're looking for. Like there isn't a lot of my audience that would straight up say you'll love this if you love historical romance. I think it's more niche down in what you like.
It is. And the pleasure pain scale, I think I love when you bring that up, because that's going to be so different for every person and at different times in every person's life, you know, like there are times in my life where I absolutely could not read this book, you know.
That's right.
So it's just
oh yeah, well, and if you look at the reviews, this book came out when it came out.
There's no way I would have read that in 2020.
There's literally people saying this is the wrong time for me to have read this, and I was consciously thinking that while I was listening to it. I was like, wow, I couldn't listen to this 3 years ago or 4. Like, I couldn't have done that. So absolutely get that. Aaron said, I think it's interesting that you read this paired. The atmosphere was bleak and immersive, and it made me feel like it was deeply impactful. Yes, we got to move on here from these, but Tribune seemed lighthearted in comparison, but I imagine its impact if Bigelow had put as much. Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. Like some of the things that, and I think she made that choice. Like I will give the credit to Jenna Bigelow. Is like there are a lot of depressing things in Rome, and she is choosing to write a bit lighter, and that's great.
True, very true.
People. Okay, we'll go through these parts quickly because we've talked about them. So, what was your rating for Graham? Graham McNeil was our hero.
Oh man, I'm gonna be so lame. 10. That is a 10 out of 10 hero. Like
that works.
That is my exact type of hero that I want.
I know. Which y'all, let's say it one more time. Big Sis needs to read Outlander now. Like we just know. I'm working on her, you guys. I'm working so hard. I gave him an 8. I loved him a lot. I just needed more time with him. That's all my ratings for them reflect. Is I needed more of them in the romance part. So that's where my ratings for them come. So I gave it 8 to him. He was great. Very like self-deprecating to just the right amount, but also his desperation for his characters. Like this is also what reminded me of Poldark. Oh, y'all, if you've read them, you'll know there's a doctor in there, Dr. Ennis, who is absolutely this guy who's going against the older people in the town who are who want the bleeding, who want to be done the old way. And Dr. Ennis is the doctor of the poor. Like that is who he is. And I could absolutely see him doing something like this. So again, there's a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in this story for me too. And I just thought he was so great. So the first time he said Dinafash, I was in love. That's right, Linda. That is tattooed on my soul. Also, any author who's writing Scottish, if they don't throw that in, they are wasting their opportunity. I'm super late, but you're here. Oh, hello, Ashley. You can rewatch it.
Ashley.
Yes, Linda, I love it all. Yeah, I mean, too. I love that she wanted to learn some of the words too that she remembered, or had like seen written, but like hadn't seen it. And nope, that'll be another part. We gotta keep going. The heroine, I also gave her an 8. They were both 8s for me. And that last part was just their like romantic side. So.
I just adored her as a heroine. She's a 10 heroine for me. Honestly, like I love a character like this who has such this quiet inner strength that is demonstrated just in making choices that aren't necessarily over the top, but are having such an impact in people's life, but also come with such great cost to her with her uncle. Like
this is sounding like a 6-star book to me. So I don't know what you're doing.
Maybe it is. Like honestly, I feel like I finished it and I was like, spoiler, like the kid died, right? Like that was really hard. And so that was where I was like, I don't know if this is a 6-star, but yeah, the way I'm talking about it, it's probably a 6-star.
I mean, you already are talking me to not be a 3.5, but to be a 4. And so this is what I love talking about.
I feel like this is such a rare type of book that is just exactly what I like.
You know what it's probably reminding me of? It reminds you of? What was our other Highlander book that you loved that was like a religious Highlander one too.
Oh yeah, Heart in the Highlands. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, totally different story, but
yeah, that's it. So yeah, it's a 6-star read. You're right.
We know.
6
Religious Highlanders.
stars.
That's what we need. I mean, I'm all for it. That's also Jamie Fraser. Let's say it again. Religious Highlander. Although he is still morally flexible sometimes, but only for Claire. Liked her too, just not the story. Yeah, it made you too sad. I totally get it. She was a
very
9.
sad.
He was a 9. She was an 8. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're above reproach for me. So I think we talked about this too. So we'll keep going because we're over 9 o'clock here. Yeah. So how was the plot handled? I thought it was done really well, as I said. The thing I was saving to share is I did not suspect that the uncle threw away the letters. I really should have.
Oh my gosh, me either.
I did not. It was just, I knew the uncle was dying and like that was going to be the painful thing. And then for him to say that, no, the father had come looking, but he doesn't deserve you. I'm like, that was a blow I wasn't expecting.
I know. That was pretty devastating. Yeah.
I should have expected, but I didn't. Let's see. What else here? I love the hero and the heroine for Lands, but it was heavy. Yeah. It definitely was heavy, actually. Yeah. Heidi Kimball, Nicole Van, Martha Keyes. I mean, that makes sense. This is where Crystal's getting all these recs from. Aaron is from you. So I need to read more. I need to read Nicole Van. I've had her on my list all year. So
yeah. Aaron introduced me to this author, but I definitely have found Heidi Kimball and Nicole Van for a while. But yeah.
Has Heidi Kimball put out some more books besides
She's got the daughter's story. She definitely has other books that are earlier, but those are the 2 Scottish ones she has.
Okay. And then well, we were just talking about this. I would read her again. I would go in more informed, but I would absolutely download another audiobook of hers and read it. And this is when I'll go back to this comment because Aaron was just saying if you liked her but you don't want one that this is this heavy, she has ones. I can't find the comment now, Aaron, but she said there's ones that aren't this heavy but are also the same atmosphere type thing. So I would definitely read more of those.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would too. Yep. Okay. We're almost done, everybody. Sorry we went over, but I was really passionate about the Roman one, obviously. So let's see. Any other like final thoughts for these, everyone? Let us know. I know, Ashley, you came in last. If you had any comments to throw in, we will quickly announce what our next books are.
Because I forgot.
Yeah. How can you forget? I'm so excited about it. Okay. So we had kind of teased this the last time that maybe we would if we had like unsatisfactory books that we'd reread faves. Now, we didn't have unsatisfactory books. These were pretty good. I mean, especially compared to some previous quarters.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like these were really good compared to some of the ones we've had this year.
Well, especially for still 2 new authors to us. Like that's been like a risky thing to do. You would read her again for sure. So what Big Sis and I decided to do though is for our winter session, which will be in February, we each decided to pick a reread of a favorite author, basically. And so which book do you pick, Sis? I'll show it once you say it. We got it right here.
Okay, I picked 9 Rules to Break When Romancing a Rake because I read that long time ago. And it wasn't one of my favorite Sarah McLean's. And I feel like that is everyone's favorite. And so I want to reread it and see if my feelings have changed. So,
yeah. And I've never read this one. This is the only series of hers that I hadn't read, besides the newest one. I shouldn't lie. I haven't read her newest 3 out, but I've read all her other series, but this one. So we got that one. And then for me, I've been wanting to reread this certain book. I've also been wanting Crystal to read it for a long time. I think a lot of y'all have been wanting her to read it for a long time. And I've been wanting to read it. Yes. And so I literally have 5 copies of this book now. And I picked for us A Kingdom of Dreams by Judith McNaught.
It's finally going to happen. It's finally going to happen.
I am so sorry that this one doesn't have an audiobook. There are no audiobooks for any Judith McNaught, by the way, which is sad. But we just got to be good with our time and not wait till the last minute because this one is really long. But this one,
I mean, Whitney My Love is super long too. And I've read 2 Judith McNaughts this year. So
Way to go. But
Yeah.
I was also sad because you're also doing Kathleen Woodwist. So I almost picked a Kathleen Woodwist, but I've only read one of hers. And honestly, I've said this before, that book to me, I am afraid to reread it because I think I maybe wouldn't like it as much the second time. This one, I'm not worried I won't love it a second time. I think I'm going to love it even more.
Is that a
Because
trade
I
paperback
know,
size? Is that?
yeah, I have 5 different ones of these, but this one was in, like, I picked this one because it has lots of, I can annotate in this one.
Nice. Yeah.
But I do have the original cover, and then I have this one in a mass market paperback size, but I have a floppy size. But
cool.
what was I going to say about it? For everyone, content warning, there is a death of a horse in this one. So there's your trigger warning. But I will tell y'all, no spoilers. It is a very, like, it's significant, you know? Like, think Even and Matic, death of a horse. Like, it has a purpose. We don't just kill horses for no reason. So that's just what I'll say. But content warning for that. So just a couple comments here. We'll wrap this up. She has a Scottish series that is lighter but still charmingly Scottish. She has a new series that is Regency and in England. Love that. Ooh, fun picks, very different ends of the genre. Yeah, for sure. These are great choices. Yes, I'm very excited about it. So I know a lot of you, I feel like a lot of you will have read. Hopefully there's still some new and we'll want to reread, but I think this will be fun. And like I said, that will be in February. I'm sure it will be not too far away from Valentine's Day, but as always, follow my social media and Crystal's to find out when it will be exactly. But otherwise, we hope you have great holidays in America and other places. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and we'll see you next time, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Mama.